In the previous video, we got hands-on with Claude, and hopefully you built your first project and you started to interact with Claude and AI in your own context. And if you're like me, you've probably got so many ideas going about how you can start to implement this kind of technology across your business. And in today's video, I want to just pull back one step and introduce the concept of first principles thinking when it comes to considering how to roll out AI across your organization. First principles thinking is about coming back to the foundational problem that you're trying to solve and then rebuilding the solution to solving that problem. That is separate to how most people think, which is just to look at the current situation and figure out how you can solve that. I'll give you an example, which is quite well documented. So if you search for it, you'll find plenty of great articles. And this is about how Elon Musk entered into SpaceX and thinking about the challenge of commercial space flight. The current thinking was you look at what NASA were doing, what the Russians were doing, and it's about how do we just buy parts, buy rocket materials from the current suppliers. And this is just so expensive that for anyone that was a commercial company trying to get into space flight, it just was a non-starter. And so what Elon did with the SpaceX team was to come back to first principles and really come up with a key metric, which was how many dollars does it cost to get 1 pound or 1 kilogram of material up into orbit. That is the key challenge. If we want to get 100,000 kilos up into orbit, what is the cost per kilo of doing that, and how do we bring that down? Now, by coming back to these first principles thinking, you start throwing away all of the assumptions about, well, these are the suppliers that we have to use. Well, this is the way that a rocket works and we have to follow that. Once you throw away all of those assumptions, you actually start rebuilding from the ground up. And we now know the success story so far of SpaceX and Elon's mission towards an interplanetary humanity. So we're not building rockets here, but we are thinking about each one of your processes. When we think about a company, it's a collection of processes. We design things, we make things, we sell things, we support things. It's an end-to-end process. And one of the challenges that we so often see when companies are getting started with their AI strategy is that they look at the current process and they think, well, I could put a little AI module in there, and I could put a little AI module in there, and maybe there's a little AI widget, and I found a new AI app that can help there. It's bits of AI, bits of AI, bits of AI, bits of AI. And I am sure that across your teams, they'll be suggesting that they need to buy this AI app that's just come out, or your new CRM provider or your HR provider has got a new AI widget. And these are going to provide some, incremental improvements into how your company is running. But what I would encourage you to think about, and being a senior leader, you've got the opportunity to do this, is to think slightly differently, which is to go back to these first principles and go, but what would it look like if we were to rebuild each of these processes with an AI core? If we've got these AI skills and capabilities across our organization, then what does process 1 look like? And then what does process 2 look like? And process 3, and so on as you go around your organization. This first principles thinking will give you much more transformational growth opportunities as you question every single process and way of thinking today. So a couple of things that I would suggest. Firstly, question everything. Just imagine that you are a startup starting in your category today, well, you would have the benefit of AI from day one. Well, how would you construct those processes? So don't take any assumptions that you've got today in the organization. Second one, it's to focus on the outcome rather than the process. If we've got a lead to cash process, or we've got an issue to resolve process, what is the outcome that we are trying to get to for our customers, for our suppliers, for our investors, maybe for our employees? And how can we get to that outcome faster? Thirdly, thinking about cross-functional collaboration. Too often, our processes are built and designed in silos, when in reality, they interact and rely on so many of our different teams working together. Come back to this concept of having an AI core to your organization, and then think how these are going to work together rather than in silos. Start small before going big. It's very easy to think, right, I'm going to rebuild the entire company, but start to pick out one or two key processes that you think you can have the greatest impact with. And then, as we're going to cover as we go through future sessions in this course, you can't do this alone. Of course, you are fundamental to driving this change because you're that inspirational figurehead leader towards the top of the business. But it is the individuals in the business units that are working these processes, that understand the customers, the suppliers, the partners, that understand what they are trying to deliver, that are going to be the most instrumental in rebuilding these processes from the ground up. So there we have it. In today's session, we've looked at first principles thinking, questioning every single assumption you have about why you have a certain application, about why your process runs a certain way, about why you have certain workarounds. Question everything and then rebuild each process from the ground up with AI enabled at its core. Hope that was helpful. And tomorrow we're going to get into a bit more tactical ideas about how you can start to bring this into practice.